Hello, everyone. Here is our next layer of content for histology. This week, we are going to cover the integumentary system or the skin. Looking at the layers of the skin, we have kind of two major layers, the epidermis and the dermis. If we're going to place the epidermis in our tissue categories, we would call it epithelium, specifically stratified squamous keratinized epithelium, and it has four main layers or strata, and we will define those. The dermis is connective tissue, and it's composed of two layers primarily, the papillary dermis, which is loose connective tissue, and reticular dermis, which is dense, irregular connective tissue. Then underneath those two layers of the skin, we have the hypodermis, which is another type of loose connective tissue, specifically adipose tissue, as well as sensory nerve endings and skin appendages. Looking at our epidermis, it is able to maintain its normal skin thickness by a process called desquamation, which is essentially also what allows the four different layers of our epidermis to form. Where at the basal layer, at the base layer, we have cells that are making new cells, new keratinocytes, and those keratinocytes are pushed up and off of the epidermis. And that then creates kind of these different strata, as we'll define here momentarily. Our base layer is the stratum basale, and this is one cell layer thick. This is the layer that anchors our epidermis to the dermis via hemidesmosomes. It contains stem cells that undergo mitosis, and it also contains melanocytes that create the pigment melanin. And this would be the area of our um, skin that can become cancerous. That would be called basal cell carcinoma, given the stratum basale layer. The stratum spinosum is the next layer up, and this is several cells thick, but it can vary depending on where the skin is in the body. It anchors adjacent cells via desmosomes. It's not anchoring vertically, but it's in series, and it contains differentiated keratinocytes. The third layer is the stratum granulosum. This is where our keratinocytes start to have a basophilic appearance because they have granules that contain canterohyaline. So we start to see these cells becoming less functional and more dead. And then in between this layer and the last layer, sometimes we'll find the stratum lucidum. This is only present in thick skin, like on your palms of your hands and soles of your feet. And lastly, we'll find the stratum corneum being the kind of top surface layer of our epidermis of our skin. And this is where we have lipids that are from lamellar bodies that form a water barrier to help us maintain homeostasis. If we look at thick versus thin skin, then our thick skin contains a thicker stratum corneum and granulosum. It's on places like palms of our hands, soles of our feet. It also contains a stratum lucidum layer. Our thin skin has a very thin stratum corneum and a single layer or almost no stratum granulosum, definitely no stratum lucidum. And this is the entire body except for areas of thick skin. Now, I mentioned melanocytes. These are scattered throughout the stratum basale. They have elongated nuclei and they are surrounded by clear cytoplasm. They produce melanin granules that are called melanosomes, which are then transported on melanocyte cytoplasmic processes. Keratinocytes eat or phagocytose these tips of the melanocyte processes, internalize their granules, and then melanosomes are released into the cytoplasm of keratinocytes, where then melanin, this pigment created, can protect nuclear DNA in keratinocytes from UV radiation. Our Langerhans cells are located in the stratum spinosum layer, and these are antigen-presenting cells that are derived from monocytes. They are also phagocytic cells, and they're a part of our immune system signaling. When we come back, we will look at the next layer, the dermis and the hypodermis.